Resource management will forever host various complex, interrelated, and dynamic social, political, and cultural magnitudes. And unfortunately, due to the lack of general understanding of resource management across the wider community, these issues remain relevant and widely prevalent in today's culture. Upon delving into reflection of the last 13 weeks of rigorous and intense study, it is apparent that the development of my toolkit for helping create an identifiable change for my own professional and personal future was unequivocally shaped by the progressive research undertaken by exploring the different ways of seeing, ways of thinking, and of course, ways of doing. Ways of seeing refers to the manner in which you interpret the world and the manner in which you are able to initially value its resources and culture. I personally believe that the ways in which someone sees a particular resource management issue depends on their educational, cultural, and political background, as this can become biased for their understanding of said issue. My personal background is one that stems from the environmental science and management sector. Thus, the way that I look towards a resource problem may differ from someone who engages heavily in political and financial affairs. A key moment that helped develop my personal toolkit for change was delving into the notion of land and sea management in North Australia, and how the complications between political bodies and the first people of this country could come to a resolve. From my background, I could only really understand properly the indigenous ways of seeing over the management of the land and sea in the north. In saying all of this, however, there is the opportunity to achieve some incredibly positive results when collaboration is priority, and this is proved with the total monitoring taking place in the Kimberley. My toolkit for change was one that was empowered with the knowledge that collaboration is key in understanding the resource management issue fully and achieving the best possible result, especially now as I only had eyes for one side of understanding, but this has now changed. Ways of thinking was the most complex segment of my toolkit that was developed over this semester. When Ullman in 1976 said that our knowledge of the real world is mediated through the construction of concepts in which to think about it. Our contact with reality is contact with a conceptualized reality. This sparked my curiosity in delving into the various ways of thinking and the notion of thinking about thinking. The idea that everything that we know about the world has been taught to us, I found very confronting and gave insight to the fact that ways of thinking largely depend on the circumstances you find yourself growing up in. This then led me into the concept of the hall of mirrors and how different expectations of how we think about the world are in fact a result of their own reflections. Upon reflection of this unit, I found that a large amount of my thinking falls in a categorical approach, and the idea that categories are used to explain and describe reality as they can be seen, and thus pre-exists and are universal. My educational background and general interests support this claim. As I stated before, understanding ways of thinking was the most challenging aspect of this semester for me personally. However, I feel I have greatly benefited from adopting more tolerant views towards this concept. In regards to ways of doing, this related to me on a very high level, as I am a very hands-on person and takes pleasure in engaging in a professional practice. I thrived in the study of co-management and planning. I work full-time in a position that requires an immense amount of co-management between departments, exactly like this. So I took great satisfaction engaging in this and applying it in a real-life situation. Walsh and Mitchell's 2001 book, Planning for Country, delve into this idea that planning is a step-by-step process, a spiraling series of processes based around acting, reviewing, planning, and acting again. The relevance of this in my professional life is extraordinarily accurate. Australia's co-management has been seen to be leading the way globally with its national parks and recognition of land rights through state and Commonwealth legislation, with the Kakadu National Park being of interest for the following. Aboriginal people wish to claim their land that fell into the national park, and it was here that co-management was implemented to achieve the best possible result for both parties. This very engagement was the key piece of my development of ways of doing for my professional toolkit. To conclude my mini lecture, GEOP340 has challenged, stimulated, and engaged me in ways that I have not done before, to which I have benefited in a multitude of ways. My toolkit for change has been developed thanks to the immense research undertaken into the world of resource management, and due to the privilege of learning from the insightful knowledge of Dr. Jessica McLean, fellow lecturers, speakers, and colleagues. This is just the beginning for my toolkit, and I am very excited at the prospect of further developing it in the workplace and through my future studies. Thank you.